afternoon, everybody, or since we're in Spain, muy buenas tardes a todos ustedes. And what I would like to do today is really talk about what are adoption drivers that we see for our customers for the Internet of Things, and also what is the role that SAP plays in the Internet of Things. And I'd like to start with something that Jürgen mentioned this morning, which is the intelligent enterprise, right? There's ample talk about it, and Jürgen mentioned more than once that in order to have an intelligent enterprise, obviously we need to bring intelligence into Suite for HANA. One of the areas of intelligence that we bring into Suite for HANA is obviously data from the real world connected and brought into business processes. So whenever we talk about the intelligent enterprise, we also talk about the Internet of Things. So what are drivers that we see with our customers in the area of Internet of Things? What makes people think about adopting the Internet of Things? And by the way, most of the times people don't come to me and say, I want to buy a slice of Internet of Things. It's not a cheesecake where I buy a slice of. It's a means to an end, meaning I want to solve a business problem. And one of the areas that we see is situational awareness. Now, what does that mean? We live in an experience economy, and therewith productivity gains and efficiency gains are key. So let's imagine for a second that we are a producer of chemicals. What does matter? Producing the right chemicals in the right quantity, not too much, not too little, in the right location, 24/7. So historically, imagine you have receptacles, silos, stainless steel tanks, any kind of receptacle that holds a material. Going out there and measuring manually the fill level of the receptacle and understanding consumption patterns, that's tedious. So now imagine a world with Internet of Things. You have sensors connected to the receptacles. You can understand, due to the sensor technology, the fill level and the consumption. And what matters here is to bring that information together with what material is inside, where is it located, and with business partners, and then to trigger replenishment processes based on business patterns and rules. So what happens here is we bring together the Internet of Things information, the fill level of a receptacle, with information like what material is in that receptacle, which business partner is concerned, what is the location where it is, and by the way, what are my usual consumption patterns for this particular business partner of this particular material. So ultimately, with situational awareness, what we lead to is automated, data-driven decision-making. Now, situational awareness, as I mentioned, is one driver for the Internet of Things, and there are others to go with it. I mentioned we live in a customer experience economy, and in that customer experience economy, of course, as said, the experience matters. So this time, let's imagine we're a producer, a manufacturer of machines. So what matters? What matters is to produce machines that have maximum uptime, because machine uptime means really production time. And they produce material in high quality, and if a failure occurs, you provide excellent service. So do we think it is all about sensors on machines, connecting machines and ingesting data? Yes, it is. But not only. It is also bringing the machine data together with master data, such as what is the asset, what is the equipment, what are the spare parts that go with it. And of course, if a failure occurs, if an incident occurs, to provide a great quality of service. So with the Internet of Things, we can have, when an incident occurs, a service ticket being created right there from the machine. The manual step of creating that service ticket is taken out, and basically the customer experience is better. Or imagine a world with a field service technician, where the field service technician on his or her mobile app not only gets the data, oh, something is wrong at this and that business partner, that person also, due to the Internet of Things data provided on that mobile app of the field service technician, also understands which spare part is concerned, gets usage data, gets issue data about the failure. Ultimately, if you're that machine manufacturer, you provide a better quality of service to your customer. Now, a third driver of Internet of Things adoption is new business model. We had Hanno speak here earlier. He mentioned he uses Leonardo IoT. And he uses it in the context of making investments into renewable energies more desirable for investors. So how does he do that? He brings together financial data from SAP with weather data and with information about commodity prices, so that on his platform, Aristoteles, he can make it much more predictable when to invest in renewable energy and also when to service. Namely then when commodity prices are low or when a certain amount of revenue has been made. So ultimately, with the Internet of Things, we can inspire new business models such as product as a service or asset as a service. Now, what is the role of SAP in the Internet of Things? It is all about business outcomes. Gunzo mentioned it before, business process outcome, that's where SAP plays a role. And we do that in a variety of ways. First, for repeatable IoT-oriented business processes, we integrate them out of the box into SAP line of business applications. That means from a customer point of view, if I consume S/4HANA, if I consume C/4HANA, I get IoT capabilities embedded. For example, the field service management example that I mentioned earlier, that is integrated out of the box with C/4HANA. If you think of something like Kanban, Kanban has been around for a long, long time. Now you can do Kanban with or without IoT enabled. We provide you out of the box the integration capabilities for IoT enabled Kanban. So we do that with S/4HANA, we do that with C/4HANA. And normally this is the point in time where people tell me, well, Elvira, that is all good and fine, but I'm on ECC release ABC. And so we want to honor our customers' investments. We want to honor that customers want to extend to previously unconnected devices without telling them the answer, well, first you need to upgrade. So what we do here is we provide our customers the ability to extend existing processes, keeping the core stable, towards previously unconnected devices and bringing the Internet of Things data in the context of the business data, whether it's master data or transactional data, geared towards an application developer, meaning that person looks at the Internet of Things data from the aspect of producing a business outcome. The third area that we see is really people evolving business models. I mentioned Kaiserwetter as an example. Another one that I really personally think is quite illustrative is dormakaba. They produce security access control systems. And if you think about it, a position of a person very often determines which building, which office this person is allowed to enter. Or think of clean rooms. It's not only your position, it's also your certifications. Not everybody is allowed to waltz into a clean room. So by providing to the access control systems information from success factors, like what certification has this person completed, what position does this person have, it can be regulated who can enter which building, which room, bringing IoT data together with business data out of success factors. And something that we see really pivoting in the market, these capabilities of embedding into line of business or extending line of business functionalities, we provide that in the cloud as well as edge-enabled, meaning when we talk about edge-enabled, it is about bringing atomic units of business processes, subsets of business processes, close to the data, where the data occurs, and process the data where the data occurs. A classic example is a work order, inventory management, plant maintenance. These are classic processes that people run on an edge. So for SAP, whether it is about embedding, extending, evolving, or edge enabling, it is all about the business outcome, about bringing the Internet of Things data, the real world data from the machines, the robots, the vehicles, the connected workers, together with business information to produce outcomes, whether it's in the cloud or at the edge. Now, I could talk about this for quite a bit, but I think nothing speaks louder than the voice of the customer. So I'd like to ask Tim Freialdenhoven from Zentis on stage, and he will talk about his experience with Leonardo IoT and his great implementation in just 4 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Elvira, for your great introduction. I want to start my presentation with a short introduction of Zentis and what we do. Zentis, some of you may have been into contact with the products we produce. This, for example, is jam which we produce with a very high ratio on fruit and a low ratio on sugar. Beside jams, we also produce sweet spreads and confectionery. And our main business area is the production of fruit preparations. Those food preparations are used, for example, in the dairy industry or the bakery industry, and they go into the final product like the yogurts. So we, in the ERP area, we already use SAP since the late 80s, so we have a very long and strong partnership together with SAP. And this year we started to use SAP Leonardo IoT to monitor our silos. So to look a little bit more into detail and to explain our business process, I want to show. So first, our business processes look like that we get raw materials from several different multiple suppliers. These raw materials like sugar or dry ingredients, they are stored in silos. These are huge silos with a capacity of around 120 tons, and they are about 20 meters high, to imagine. Then in our production step, we bring these raw materials together with our fruits and produce the so-called fruit preparation, which is then sent to the to our customers in stainless steel containers. And these stainless steel containers have a capacity of around 1 ton. The customer then mixes this fruit preparation together with the yogurt, and then you get the final product, the fruit yogurt, for example. So obviously this process doesn't look very complex, but we have several different business challenges which we have addressed with SAP Leonardo IoT. The first, as Elvira already mentioned, we have to measure the actual stock amounts in those stationary silos to be able to refill them. And the second thing there is, because we are in the food industry, we also have to keep track on other parameters, like, for example, the temperature of the silos and also the humidity. And we have to act if something goes out of range there. The second business challenge is then to keep these stock amounts into our material resource planning, to be able to refill them at the right time. You can imagine that if we order the trucks which refill those silos too early, they cannot unload it completely, so the truck has to wait until the silo is empty enough to be able to refill. And on the other hand, if we run out of stock of these essential raw materials, we go into the danger that we have to stop the production of the fruit preparation. So this is the second business challenge. And the third business challenge is around these stainless steel containers I talked about. So these are our mobile assets. And while they are in the plant, we can control them, we can keep track on the parameters. But once they go out of the plant, we do not know during the transportation process, are all the parameters correct? And even if they are at the customer, we do not know how much is the fill level in them. So that's the third business challenge. So all of these three business challenges we started to address with SAP Leonardo IoT. What we already did is monitoring of the product fill level. So we currently have a centralized platform where we have all the parameters for the different departments which are involved. We have that in the SAP Leonardo IoT. And also the monitoring of temperature and humidity for these materials. And we have set up IoT events which inform the responsible persons if some of these parameters go out of range. While I'm talking here, we are currently in the process of testing an automatic stock correction. This means that we get the values out of the cloud platform and send them into our ERP system, where we can then do the material resource planning much more accurate than we do currently. In total, for both steps, we started with the concept in August, and I'm confident that we will finish these 2 steps by end of October. So looking into the future, as I mentioned before, it's also possible to do this this application for our mobile assets. So to also close the gap then at the transportation of these stainless steel containers to our customers. So that's the step for the future. So that's it from my side. Thank you.